My name is Dr. Leah Owens, and I am faculty in the Urban Education Department. My area of research is teacher activism. So I explore the ways that teachers are active beyond the classroom in the communities, how they interact with political issues and take positions, and then in turn bring that back into their classrooms to develop their own students' critical thinking skills. When I think of urban, I think about diversity and I think about density. Unfortunately, urban, when it comes to education, and probably in a lot of fields, has become a euphemism for poor Black and brown bodies, non-English speakers, just other students who just can't seem to make the mark. And that's very much so far from the truth. There are so many cultural characteristics, so many social characteristics that our students bring to the classroom. And so when I think about being an urban teacher educator, I think about how we make sure that the future teachers that we are developing and training understand that these are assets that our students bring to the classroom. And it's our responsibility to, again, be that bridge into the new content and understand, honestly, the power dynamics that exist, and not just so that they can fit into that and perpetuate it, but how they can actually examine it so that they can transform it. We have seen an attack on teachers in the public sphere, that we are responsible for all of the social ills, especially in urban districts where we're not necessarily quote unquote meeting the mark with our students and actually failing our students. So these are some of the dominant narratives that started to play in the field of education, and teachers decided to organize and fight back. And one of the places where they do that is actually in their unions. I love to be able to point to great success stories here in New Jersey. But the first thing that actually comes to mind is Chicago, where the teachers union there was actually, the leadership was taken over by a social justice caucus who organized, studied together for years, and then ran for the union leadership and were able to win because their other rank and file members believed in them and the vision that they had, which was for a social justice education. And they've actually been an example for other cities around the country, and those teachers actually organizing their own caucuses and fighting for their union leadership. And some of the things that the Chicago Teachers Union has been able to do is successfully strike, not just for improved salaries or improved health benefits, but actually for what's happening in the classrooms. Their campaign is called "The Schools Our Students Deserve," and they were able to win on that. The main course that I teach is Social Foundations of Education. And so in that course, students bring an interdisciplinary lens. So we look at education from a cultural perspective, historical, sociological, and also philosophical. And so even though I also teach courses that are about the practice of teaching, it is this foundation and this understanding of how urban education came to be what it is today that's important for future teachers to grasp, because it has an impact on the decisions they make in their teaching practices, in their classrooms, the way they develop relationships with students, parents, and colleagues. So I really enjoy teaching that class, and a lot of times I see a lot of students just literally open their eyes to what's been happening in education. They see, again, even for themselves, that it's not a 9-to-3 job. It's not just about lesson plans and creating a test and putting grades in, but again, really developing relationships with students so that those students trust them and to be able to learn from them. In addition to my work at Rutgers-Newark Urban Education Department, I'm a teacher educator in the respects that I co-founded what's called the Radical Pedagogy Institute, which is a professional learning community of mostly current educators who may not necessarily receive this type of training around social justice in their teacher prep programs. So in that, I'm actually able to extend opportunities to my students, future teachers, to participate in professional learning with current teachers around these issues. And I just really enjoy when they're able to be there in the classroom with teachers who are currently, putting these ideas into action. So we actually have a Foundations of Urban Education minor that anyone can take on, and folks who would take on that minor are those who are interested possibly in other fields, but looking at the intersection with education. But primarily the Urban Education Department is looking to train the next teachers for cities like Newark, Jersey City, Orange, Elizabeth. We want to be able to be the hub for folks who are looking to become teachers. One thing that I certainly enjoy doing is actually walking and attempting to run around the Weequahic Park Lake in the South Ward of Newark, where I reside. So it is such a beautiful park, and just to be there early in the morning, to see neighbors, to just be, in nature is something that I really appreciate. So that's something I like to do.